and welcome to your award-winning The Reasons I'm Broke podcast, bringing you the reasons we're broke every single week through news and headlines ranging from comics, movies, TV, video games, and more. I'm Daniel, and this week we have the Amiibo Hunter himself, the Console Hunter, the Mr. Pokemon himself. We have Bobby joining as the co-host this week. Welcome back, Bobby.
Hello, Daniel and Brokettes. Thanks for hanging out this week. I'm glad to be back. We'll get into some good things today.
If this is your very first episode, the way we format the show is we go through a block of news. This week, we do have What's New on Netflix, the May 2022 highlights, and then we end it with the Broquette block, which is what Bobby and I have been doing since you last heard us, what we've been watching, playing, reading this week. So let's jump right in and explore sector number 506. In the past year, Ubisoft has ceased online support for a list of games, and it is now grown to 91 titles. So basically what this means is that any multiplayer components associated with their games that they've no longer supported will not be accessible, and that includes achievements and unlockables that are attached to the online aspect of the game. So this also means that older titles, such as standouts like Tom Clancy's End War, Splinter Cell, World in Conflict, will essentially be erased. And this is something that Bobby had mentioned to include in the show notes here. So you were mentioning off the air that this is a pretty big hit for game preservation.
Yeah, nobody really thinks about it until, the day comes. And when you think about it and you dredge up all the old memories of games, and you're like, oh, well, what about what I did with that? Yeah, it's all going to be gone. So this will be interesting to see what happens with it. There's some of the other popular titles that are in there too. Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter, Beyond Good and Evil, Hawks 2. So it seems really bad, but we won't know until it actually happens. But my first thought is game preservation. Nobody really thinks about it in the digital era, how it overtakes. This could be a sign. It's also tied to, forgive me if this is mentioned later, I don't think it is, but Ubisoft possibly going up for sale. So this might be part of their tidying up loose ends.
I don't think we had covered it yet here on the show, but that's exactly what I was thinking too. As this number grows for them, one, it's a bad sign of whatever their business is and how they are maybe trying to sell themselves and try to cut down on some of the spending by making themselves a little bit more presentable in that way to a potential buyer, or maybe by cutting their losses if you're on the chairman side of things, just to try to help make your portfolio look better when you move on to that next company. It's a number of factors that it could possibly be. And who do you think would be the most likely buyer to something as big as Ubisoft?
I don't know. I don't think anybody's going to buy them, honestly. Ubisoft has got a long past of messy issues. Like, if you think Activision Blizzard's bad, like Ubisoft's one of the originators. They're just rotten, dirty, treat everybody like crap. Just, it's not a good company from all the headlines from the past few years. So, actually, it's been longer than that. So they're going to go up for sale, and they're going to have a giant stain. And sure, it's easy to say Microsoft will take them, but I mean, they're already dropping studios that have those problems. Like, they just dropped Moon Studios, which made Ori, the 2 Ori games, because they just surfaced with a bunch of problems. So, and they haven't even completed their takeover of Activision Blizzard. So who knows what's going to happen with that down the road. Sony won't touch it. That's not for them. But Microsoft has the clout. I think that would work well in their ecosystem. The problem is the giant baggage that it has. I just don't see it happening. But money talks. Who knows?
They've obviously had a very good working relationship with Nintendo. I've seen a couple of tweets on that. I don't think Nintendo's interested in spending that kind of money right now, and they're not really that kind of company either. So they'll continue the partnerships that they have as is and not really take on that kind of debt, potential debt, basically. And I know to the people that were saying Sony, there's rumors of a takeover of some sort, some major buyout. And leaks have said that it's larger than Konami, because that was the other rumor, was that Sony was going to just straight up buy up the Metal Gear company well, whatever, wherever it is now, but Konami's company, or possibly who's the maker of Metal Gear?
Hideo
Hideo Kojima.
Kojima. Yeah.
Maybe buying up his studio, and they're saying that it's even bigger than that. So Ubisoft would not fall under that umbrella. They're relatively small compared to, I think Konami is a little bit more lucrative when it comes to that. So if it ends up being Microsoft, I think we were talking about it on the Discord, they at least have some history upcoming up of, well, we're going to fire these people, or their contract is going to end and we're not going to renew it. So they're plenty busy with that Activision Blizzard deal. So if it ends up being Microsoft with Ubisoft, they were pointing to the deal that they have currently through Game Pass of having these titles on there, where it would be an easy transition and buyout for them. I don't know if it's cheap enough. Maybe they could buy it. I think that's the most likely candidate to buy them out currently. But as you said, if they just go under, those properties, I'm assuming, would then just go up for sale, right?
I don't know. Who knows what they'll do? We also have to keep an eye on the Activision Blizzard thing, and I think the rest of the industry is as well. Like, I think that's what's going to spell trouble for Ubisoft, because there's already congressmen and senators getting in the way of the Activision Blizzard buyout from
Bastards.
Xbox. So once they start, which I think there's 4 of them now, they're leading a charge, and if they block it, then that sale's not going to happen.
Couple of B chance right there.
So yeah, super B chance. So you better believe the industry is watching, and that could be more trouble for Microsoft if they get the acquisition, because then that gives those lawmakers some bigger power, an argument to stand on. I don't know. So it's a mess, and I think there's a lot of paving of roads to figure out and see how it's going to go. The industry is obviously sitting back and waiting. All the small acquisitions will go through, all those smaller ones like Bungie. That's a small studio. I can't say small, but compared to like Activision Blizzard, Bungie is a much smaller studio. So the Sony one with Bungie should go over pretty well. The Activision Blizzard one's giant. So
we're seeing some major changes too on the movie side, as this just broke. Veteran Fast and Furious director Justin Lin is no longer directing the upcoming Fast 10 or Fast 11. Production has completely halted so that the studio can find a replacement director. This is according to Deadline. So Lin previously directed the Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, which many consider the best one, Fast and Furious, Fast 5, Fast and Furious 6, and Fast 9. So they had him on to film these back-to-back, Fast 10 and Fast 11, Fast 11 being the final one of this Fast and Furious franchise. Even though filming started, though, Lin stepped down over creative differences. He will remain as a producer on the films. That was a part of his statement, in that he is at least remaining in that. 5 days ago, Vin Diesel put up an Instagram post with him and Justin basically talking about how they want this to be the best Fast and Furious film, but now creative differences. So this could be a number of things. I'm willing to lean more towards maybe Vin Diesel trying to overreach on what he wants the films to be, only because he has a history of this when he clashes with other actors like The Rock.
I think it's a combination of possibly Paramount having some say, as well as Vin Diesel, of course, and then the lack of The Rock, because Paramount wants The Rock in there, and he's not. So I don't even think he's helping produce the films either. I think he's just completely cut off. So there's probably a couple different things there. We don't know what his contract looks like. So there could have been some issues there with contract and movie releases and things like that. We all know how the film industry is now. It's kind of up and down, wonky. So it could be a WB situation. They're just cutting off from the top, and that's where it trickles down.
It's a shame too, because I love these Fast and Furious films. You guys have heard that I went through and I watched every single one. I bought that 8-film collection, watched Fast 9. I'm going to watch Fast 10 and 11 when those come out. It is disappointing though, because the guy that has so much experience with these films, and I think has exponentially grown them and set a new bar to the action that does take place in these movies. And I know people whine about how it's no longer about the racing, it's more of a spy film, and they're going into space, and it's like, all right, great. So people are talking about it. They're talking about how ridiculous it could be that they're going into orbit fine. It's amazing. We know what the Fast and Furious films are. We know what we're going to get when we go and buy a ticket to watch these films. And Justin is a huge part of that. He brought back Han, who was a popular character from Tokyo Drift, and has done some great things with him. That was the end credit stinger to Fast 9 of Han going after the guy that tried to kill him, which was Jason Statham. So there is a lot of passion towards that character, and it is a shame that Justin felt that there wasn't something that could work here between him and the studio or Vin or whatever the reasoning is, because I think he is a major part of the success of these films.
Yeah, I agree. He's been with it for a long time. He knows how to make the films. It's like, forgetting his name, Harry Potter director for the first couple.
Right, yeah, Christopher or something.
Christopher Columbus, yeah. So like he had that formula, and then the guy that did the last 3 films for that, he had a formula too. So it's like the films do well, they have success, and yeah, Harry Potter's different because it has its own following, but like the Fast and Furious franchise is just billions. Like they made a ride at Universal and it sucks, and they did it because
That's what I keep hearing.
They did it. I haven't been on it, but I haven't heard one person tell me it's good, so I'm just going to repeat it. They made the ride because it's so popular. It's an anchor for Paramount, so why not? They have to. So something's wrong, and I have a feeling it has to do. It's coming from the top. It's probably a WB situation. They're just that somebody at the top's got an idea, and they went to Justin Lin, and yeah, there was an issue, so he walked away. And The Rock's not there, so Rock's part of Paramount family, and he can't be a part of this. So there's definitely some issues.
The superhero franchise is growing, and we're getting even more characters hitting the big screen, one of which was revealed during a Las Vegas 3-day event at CinemaCon. Sony announced they would be developing a solo film for the Spider-Man character called El Muerto. So far, the character has shown up in 2 issues, so they're fast-tracking this character for his solo film. Bad Bunny, who's the highly acclaimed Puerto Rican musician, he sometimes plays a pro wrestler as a part of his thing, has been cast in the role, which matches the character, of course. To anyone that is not familiar with the Spider-Man character, El Muerto is a masked luchador who inherited his mask from generations of family wrestlers, and the mask grants him enhanced strength. Sony also confirmed Venom 3, Madam Web, and the Kraven the Hunter were still coming to the big screen in 2023, 2024. So what do you think about this latest addition to the Marvel family?
It's fine. We knew they were going to do this, and they're just going to keep doing it. Every film they put out in the Spider-Verse, they're just going to keep anchoring cash to it. So as they do it, they're going to keep announcing more films. Like we still got the 3 girls of New York that we got to see, and then they're a Kraven. They've already casted Kraven.
Yes.
Madam Web's going to be interesting because that'll, depending on how they tell that story, either going to go with Madam Web, who Madam Web is, or they're going to spin that right out into Silk because she's been really popular in the books. So, and then of course Venom 3. Why would you stop? You got to keep going. So.
I know you're keeping up with Spider-Man. Have you read those issues that he's in? What kind of character was he?
No, he's not an Amazing Spider-Man. He's in Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, and I don't read those books. So it's definitely an off the beaten path character, but there's nothing wrong with that because the good part about that is with low source material in the books, they have freedom to do literally whatever they want. There can't be any naysayers, right? Mm-hmm. So it makes it kind of easy to do that. It's kind of fitting for them to do something with a heritage based or, even Latino, because like we don't have a Miles. The only Miles we have is in the animated universe. Right. So I think this is their way of doing that without stepping on the animated version's toes. That's why we don't have a Miles in real form yet, which totally makes sense. So if they make this, let's just hope it's a good movie and not some piece of crap. Here's a Sony movie with a Marvel label on it.
Have you ever heard of Bad Bunny?
Yeah.
Is he?
He's good. He's a Grammy winner. He's been cranking stuff out the past few years. He's very popular. He's also on commercials with Snoop Dogg for Corona.
Gotcha.
So he does Corona. He's got a sponsorship, I think, with Adidas or Nike, one of the two. He's very, very popular. He's been on WrestleMania a few times. He's been involved with wrestling, like you said. So he's pretty talented. The in-ring action that he had at WrestleMania was pretty decent for somebody that is a musician and not a wrestler. So
So it sounds like this is going to be more Bad Bunny the film rather than El Muerto, because he's obviously way more popular than this character who's had 2 appearances.
Oh hell yeah. That movie is going to pull his fan base like crazy. Like they know what they're doing. So this is going to make a ton of cash just on Bad Bunny himself. Like it's kind of like Space Jam, and I hate to bring up this reference, but it's like Space Jam 2 with LeBron. People went and saw that crappy movie just because LeBron was in it. So and that's why it made so much money. You put any other basketball player in there that's not as big, that movie would have stunk to high hell. And you take the original Space Jam is Michael Jordan. The movie sold because it was Michael Jordan. And of course the Looney Tunes, but Michael Jordan swung that movie hard. So this movie here, it's nobody knows who El Muerto is, right? Except for a few people. Yeah, the movie's going to sell off of Bad Bunny. And he's not like in a full costume. He's just wearing a luchador mask. So yeah, this is going to sell tickets just on him being in it. And you better believe he's going to do a soundtrack for the movie too. So
this is why I like discussing this stuff with you guys, because that answers that question. And I didn't jump into, well, they should have done this character instead, or I trust Sony with their decisions when it comes to the Marvel Universe, because I have enjoyed their, like the latest Morbius, I really enjoyed it. And so I do trust them with these characters, and I'm like, all right, well, I'll be there to see it on the opening weekend. But with you saying this is why they made this decision, it's not a matter of anyone out there on Twitter like these are the characters in the Spider-Man universe that more deserve a solo film. And as you mentioned, and you nailed it, Sony is not concerned with what's the most popular character we can get up there to make a film. They're more concerned with the talent behind it. As you said, Bad Bunny. How many Jared Leto fans went to see Morbius simply from his band, his music followers? And
30 Seconds to Mars, right?
Right.
Yeah, like, and all the studios are aware of that. Like he's a Grammy winner too. So it's like it just happens to be a good actor, and he's won an Oscar already. So it's like you take that formula and it works. Like not everybody can transition. Look at Jennifer Lopez. Yeah, she hasn't won an Oscar, but she's a good actor.
Yeah.
She's a singer, an actor, and a performer, and she's got the trifecta. She's just good at what she does. But she was acting before she was singing, and she's turned out to be this worldwide superstar with music. She's won Grammys, but she hasn't won an Oscar. And then you take Bad Bunny, he's won a ton of Grammys. Well, now he's going to come in and step into the film role. And there's a few others that have done that transition. Jared Leto obviously is the most notable one because he's won an Oscar and he's been up for multiple Oscars. So he just happened to transition as a really, really good actor. So the formula works. It just depends on if it hits fire or not. So will Bad Bunny do it? I don't know. He's a good performer. We know that. We've seen him in wrestling, and he works really hard at it apparently. So he's got the mind for it. And his role for this movie is going to be a wrestler anyways. So it's like, now he just needs to put on the acting. Can he do it? I don't know. We'll see. Sony will do it, and it'll make money just on the fan base alone.
We're absolutely going to find out. And we have an interview here with People as Nicolas Cage opened up about how he's turned down major roles over the years. He said, quote, "First and foremost, there's no version of Nick Cage in reality that doesn't want to spend time with his children. There's no version of Nick Cage that didn't put family first over career. I turned down Lord of the Rings and I turned down Matrix because I didn't want to go to New Zealand for 3 years or Australia for 3 years because I needed to be home with my son Weston. That's a fact." End quote. I gotta respect that, man. I didn't know that he was approached for those films, and obviously they would have been significantly different had he started them. Better or worse, I don't know. I like Nick Cage, and I like that at those times people were kind of shocked at this, but he was fucking big in the 90s. People kind of forget that.
Oh yeah, he's super popular, and he cranked out a lot of films. Not all of them were good. Some of them were duds, but he did a lot of roles. Like he was fantastic in Kick-Ass. Great role that he played. I think Millennial Mike was commenting on that. He did such a good job in Kick-Ass. But he hasn't, if you think about it, he hasn't been anything in the past few years. He's just been vacant.
He's done DVD movies. I own some of them.
Yeah, like those. Yeah, the low budget ones. He's done those, but like nothing big. And then for him to come up and say this, at least he cleared the air. I know he was campaigning really hard to be Superman before. Who's our Superman currently?
Right now it's Henry Cavill, and then before him was Brandon Routh.
Yeah, after Brandon Routh, he was trying to be Superman. Cavill's spot. Because I just remember all that campaign and all those memes and pictures. Like, because if you remember, Nick Cage owned a copy of Action Comics.
Right.
Is it 12?
I thought it was number 1. I thought he had the first appearance.
Is it number 1 in his
Yeah.
Superman? Or okay, yeah. So it's Action Comics number 1. He had it, and then he sold it, got it back, and then it was stolen. So there's been this back and forth with that book that he had, and that's, obviously claiming he's a Superman fan. But to be fair, he's a multi-million-dollar actor, so he's got the money to go buy that book. But he said he had it for a while. So that would have been cool if he was in some of those films, Matrix or Lord of the Rings. But you got to respect it if he's gonna stick with family. It's more important. So
absolutely. Lord of the Rings, I don't know what character he would have played, to be honest with you, but I can see him in The Matrix as Neo, the one, because he was known for action films. Face Off was fucking amazing. He had that slew of 90s movies where he was the badass with the gun or the one who kicked ass, and I think Matrix would have easily been a good role for him too.
Oh yeah. Lord of the Rings, he would have played one of the elves for sure.
Isn't that crazy to think
Legolas.
About? Oh, yes.
Because what's his name was one of the High Elder from the Matrix.
That's
Agent
true.
Smith.
Holy shit.
That would have been
movie
amazing. Too.
An alternate universe where he stars as Neo in the Matrix, still Hugo Weaving, and then you get them again in Lord of the Rings. That would have been badass. And then you get Hugo Weaving as well for Zod, and Nicolas Cage is Superman, and Zack Snyder's directing both of those guys. Like, holy shit, we could have had an era of those two.
And then Hugo Weaving is Megatron and Transformers, and Nicolas Cage could have been one of the Autobots.
Yes.
Perfect.
Bumblebee. Unbearable Weight is his latest film. It looks like it is getting a lot of buzz as far as awards, like the smaller film festivals. It is in theaters now, and I am looking forward to seeing it. He plays himself. Have you seen the trailers for it?
Yeah, it looks pretty interesting. He plays himself. There's some other big names in there too. There's a couple. I just can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, it looks interesting.
I am going to check it out in theaters, and I've got a little list. I've got to see that. I've got to see the latest Liam Neeson film. A lot of good stuff in theaters right now. But we also had another possibility, another what-if universe. In the same universe, I'm sure that Nick Cage starred in The Matrix. We would have gotten Josh Brolin, who would have starred in Jurassic World. He turned down the role of Owen, and this was through the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast. That it was during that interview that he said, quote, "With all respect to Steven Spielberg, I could not picture me doing it. I could not picture me being that guy, and I'm very, very happy based on my decision of what Chris does with it, because I think Chris is the right guy," end quote. What do you think about that different movie? Jurassic World, a much older lead in that case.
They would have had to change the stylization of that character for the movie, because obviously Brolin's much older. I think he would have fit the role. It's like he could have done that. He plays that cowboy style type of. Him and Chris are obviously buddies because they're MCU buddies, so there's not going to be any mudfling in there.
That's true, and I think even the sequels would have been vastly changed, because I know in the second one he's going down, swimming, getting the kids out of getting Claire out of those pods, those circular pods. So I think there would have been less of that kind of crazy action for him to do, just because only so much of it is, and I know we're talking about dinosaurs, but only so much of it is believable when you cast an older actor. You try to do some stuff that's maybe a little bit more in their wheelhouse, but with someone like Chris, obviously we get more with Chris doing all these crazy stunt work than we would have gotten with Josh Brolin for sure.
Yeah, he's younger and he's more actiony. Not that Brolin isn't, but he's just older. So there's a difference there. I mean, look at in Dune. Brolin's role was so small. He had that very, very small scene with just the combat in just one-on-one.
I hope he lives, man. I don't know if he does, and I'd have to ask our book reader, but I hope he lives in that battle, because you don't really see him die. You just kind of see it's implied that they all got wiped out during this war or whatever.
Yeah.
He was also asked about the opportunity at a shot as Batman in Batman v Superman. I remember these rumors and this casting back when they were talking about it. He said, quote, "Yeah, that was interesting to me. That was Zack Snyder's decision. That wasn't my decision. That was his decision. Again, because like something that is set up to not work at all or to work flyingly. I like those odds. I like playing with those odds. I'm like, am I the guy that's going to make it all fail? Honestly, that would have been a fun deal, and maybe I'll do it one day." End quote. That would have been a good casting too.
He could do it. He could pull it off. He still could pull it off. That's interesting to know that. Maybe that he'll get knocked down that door one day and
Well, the one I immediately thought of, because Zach in the past has said that even though he put a lot of the Dark Knight Returns into BVS, that he wants to make an actual live action direct adaptation of the Dark Knight Returns on the big screen. So if Zach still wants to do that, and so far everything that Zach has said he wants to do, that he's done storyboards and scripts for, is happening. Even his Star Wars pitch that didn't happen because of the Disney buyout, he's making it with Netflix called Rebel Moon. So if one day he's able to do that live action adaptation, and I know Zach turned him down for BVS, but if he does want him, he did consider him, Brolin would be a great casting, I think, for that live action adaptation.
I still think that we need to get some more Batfleck before we move on to a different one, but
I think so too, yeah.
He could hold it down.
Absolutely.
He's got good his physique. He could hold up a bat suit pretty well, unlike Pattinson, skinny little noodle in the wind.
I've seen the meme of like the little foot in a big sandal. Like, this is Pattinson in the bat suit. It just doesn't fit.
I saw that like 2 days ago. I couldn't stop laughing.
It's like when you growing up on Halloween and that costume was always too big, at least for me, and my shoes would be fucking stepping on the bottoms of it all the time. Like, that's exactly Pattinson.
You're just scuffling your feet all over the place to keep it on.
This week, there was also a shout out to Jack Nicholson, who celebrated his 85th birthday. Michael Keaton talked to Seth Meyers about how nervous he was to be working with Nicholson years ago. He said, quote, "The only thing that happened when I did the first Batman was I was very nervous, very self-conscious about being with Jack because he's so strong on film, and it ended up being just great. We became pals and everything," end quote. Happy birthday to Jack Nicholson. Maybe many consider him to still be the best live action Joker.
Legend. Did really good. Forgetting about Danny DeVito over there too.
Yes.
He was on that set with him. Jack Nicholson, everybody forgets him as Joker. And he took the painted face Joker that kind of resembled the 66 Batman, or 66 Joker from back in the day. I forgot that guy's name. Cesar
Romero.
Yeah, Cesar Romero. Yeah, kind of resembled that Joker, because everything after that is more messy and sloppy and messed up face. So,
what is your favorite Jack Nicholson, kind of putting you on the spot here, but performance that, not even just comic related, but just throughout his career? Is there a movie that comes to mind that you're like, that I really like that film and it starred Jack Nicholson, or I only like that film because of his performance?
I'm going to stick with The Shining.
Oh, that was going to be my answer too, man. Fucking Kubrick.
You got to go with the classic Kubrick film, so I'm going to go with The Shining.
Well, I'm going to go with my second pick then, and that's One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Good choice.
With Nurse Ratched, considered by many to be one of the best villains of film.
Yeah, it was a good film
Love
too.
that shit. But The Shining is classic. If you're a younger brokehead and you have not seen these, they would definitely be on my list of films you need to see before you die. The Shining, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and I'm pretty sure One Flew Over is on Netflix right now. It is a classic.
Also, for all the younger brokeheads out there, or anybody listening to this, if you've been to any haunted houses or like Halloween Horror Nights and stuff like that, there's a lot of reminiscent scenes from The Shining. So that's where they're birthed from. So if you enjoy that stuff, just go watch The Shining. It's a pretty good thriller suspense film.
What kind of stuff did they put in there? I didn't know that they put in some Shining stuff.
Yeah, they do the shower scene, obviously, and then the hallway with the girls.
Wow.
That's all in haunted houses. They do that at Hollywood. Jesus, can't say the name. Halloween Horror Nights, like every other year. Yeah, HHN.
So do they have the nude bodysuit of that lady that comes out of the bath?
It's been a long time since I've been there, but I know they always feature a scene. It's like one of the classic scenes that they like to show. And then it's obviously the creepy hallway with the girls. Every time you look back, there's one there, and then two, and then bouncing a ball. And then there was something else I saw that replicated that scene going into that room, and I'll think of it. I can't remember what it was. But the point is like the stuff is very reminiscent of it, and it's celebrated in that way because it's just, that's what people enjoy. And so if you wonder where it came from, that's where it came from, The Shining.
It'd be cool to see that big elevator scene with the blood. Like if they could somehow pull that off by putting that scene in a tank or something and then have it drip off into the bottom and then refill that'd be a tough one, but that'd be neat if they did that.
Violence, blood, gore. That's what everybody likes in those houses. So.
And some of the younger brokettes are like, "Your guys, that's not from The Shining. That's from Ready Player One."
Yeah, no. Classic film, guys. Look it up.
We do also have more shakeups and changes. It seems like every week, and that's good. That's a good thing because Zaslav is doing some fucking work. Variety reports that TNT and TBS will no longer develop new scripted content as David Zaslav looks to trim $3 billion for Warner Brothers Discovery. One of the first to get shut down after the merger was CNN Plus. That was their latest streaming platform. CNN Plus was cut shortly after its launch, which came as a shock to its employees, many of whom learned the news on social media. It's also been said that through Zaslav's pretty aggressive words in the earnings call, which just went out a couple days ago, he was basically saying how he's looking under the hood now of what's been going on at Warner Media, and inside sources are saying that he is not at all happy or impressed with what's been going on over there.
Yep. It's starting. And if they're doing it, you better believe some of these other companies that are struggling with their streaming services or their content is all going to start doing the same thing. So the cable TV is already in trouble. It's been in trouble for years. And now that the streaming stuff is catching up, just noticed we don't have we'll tie that in this after this first point with Netflix, but the streaming stuff is starting to catch up. It'll be really interesting to see where all this stuff goes. Cause you and I and a few others have been talking about this for years. Like we have all these a la carte services to choose from, or where does it end and who's going to suffer when people stop choosing? So we're starting to see that. CNN Plus, interestingly enough, like good on them. And I guess it's Zaslav that's leading the charge. Like they are all the people there that were part of CNN Plus, they're finding other jobs within the organization. So that's good news. They're not just laying streams of people off, which is great. So there's no guarantee on that, but they did reassure that they were automatically trying to reseed all of those employees into other avenues of the business. So we'll see what happens with that and how it shakes out. TNT, TBS with no longer scripted content. I had made a comment the other day on our Discord, what's going to happen with AEW. Now, I don't think Warner owns them, but they show their episodes each week, and that is scripted content. So I don't think that falls under the same umbrella because they don't produce it or make it. They just televise it. But that might be money they're trying to trim as well. So we'll see what happens with that. That'd be an interesting one to see what happens with it.
My other question too with this is, by them saying no more new scripted content, does that mean that existing shows that have existing content are still continuing and they're just not ordering new shows through TNT and TBS? Or is it literally canceling current shows that are scripted?
Oh no, they're canceling. Like
Wow.
Snowpiercer's one of their big ones, and it's ending after they're finished with this season, or whatever. If they have something in the pipes, they're going to finish it. I didn't read the whole article, but I know Snowpiercer's the number one that they're axing. So to be fair, they don't have that many anymore. They just usually play a lot of reruns, and they play a lot of Warner Brothers movies. But it sucks. I mean, not having two channels like that, two big networks that aren't going to have scripted content, new fresh content constantly. But I mean, that's how cable TV is now these days. So there's nobody watching it. So good for him if he's cutting back to save that money. Wasn't going to lose it.
And Zaslav, yeah, he did say when they were first buying up Warner Media, that they were going to invest a lot of money into new original content that included shows and movies. It's obvious now that TNT and TBS were not a part of that plan. They're probably straight pushing this new app, this new service that's going to be merged with Discovery and Warner Brothers. I'm guessing they're just going to call it Warner Brothers Discovery. I don't know, but that seems to be what his focus is going to be as far as where all that money is going to go.
I mean, we'll see what happens when it's all finished and merged. We're probably going to see some more changes as this goes on, because I think the finalization is supposed to be next month, right? Middle of next month, like a month from now.
They're operating 100% now. As of 2 weeks ago.
Okay, yeah, because I know when CNN finishes a show, it says Warner Brothers Discovery, so that it is official there, and obviously they own that.
Yeah, they have their own stock now of WBD is the stock symbol, so they're officially open for business. It's his. I was mentioning this last week, Sil Abdul was saying that it's a 100-day plan as far as what we're going to see, all of these changes, and we're in it. We're day 14, 15 right now, so the changes are coming and they're coming quicker. And I think that's good because he needs to move quickly to not hemorrhage more money out of Warner Brothers. And it seems like that's what he's good at. He's been doing it for years at Discovery, and now hopefully he can have that similar success with Warner Brothers Discovery. And you had mentioned some streaming services. We are moving into what's new on Netflix, another service that may or may not be in some trouble here. And this is the May 2022 highlights. So these are some of the titles that I know we've discussed in the past that I know some of you may have also enjoyed, and now you can revisit on Netflix next month. If you want a full list, they do have them up on Google, on comicbook.com. So the first one is from Tim Burton, someone who was going to do that Superman Nicolas Cage film, worked with Nicholson and Danny DeVito on Batman, and this one he did direct. It is Corpse Bride, and I know a lot of people pushed it back then because of Nightmare Before Christmas. I don't think it's as strong as Nightmare Before Christmas. He didn't direct Nightmare Before Christmas, but this is still has his fingerprints all over Corpse Bride. And I'm going to go back and revisit it because I know I wasn't crazy about it back when it first hit theaters, but I did enjoy it. And I'm thinking maybe it'll be a little bit different if I check it out again.
It's been forever since I've seen it, so I can't even remember half of it.
Classic that I think most of us have seen, and it is another one on those lists of must-see, is Forrest Gump, starring Tom Hanks. Love this movie. Even as a kid, I don't know why I found it entertaining, the 3 hours or whatever. I could not stop watching it.
Because as kids, all we wanted to do was quote the different parts of the movie. And I was running.
It was so simple, too. Like, suddenly he's in the war. Suddenly he's over here. Suddenly he's over there. And I believed half of the shit that he supposedly made happen. Him meeting the president. And I'm like, oh, this was based on a real guy named Forrest Gump. And no, it's just a fictional character that they did some great things with movie magic on. Him meeting Elvis and just all kinds of crazy stuff.
At Notre Dame, the football player, being Rudy, like he did everything. Shrimping.
What's your favorite scene from Forrest Gump?
Scene with Jenny with the chocolate. It's very important meaning. And obviously we all know the phrase. Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
Yeah. I like the war scene with Lieutenant Dan. Just everything with Lieutenant Dan I really, really like.
Yeah, them yelling at each other. Yeah, Gary Sinise. Yeah.
I should have died in there. And they're going fishing and shit. I loved it. It was good stuff. Also, Jackass 1 through 4 are going to be on Netflix. I don't know if 4 is the last one or is it forever? I'm not too sure, but you can go back and watch the previous ones. And I did not watch past Jackass 2, so I'm going to catch up with Jackass 3D and 4.
Yeah, the newest one's on Paramount, so it's not on Netflix yet.
So
I think it's Jackass 5, I believe. I've seen them. They're good. There's some really good moments. There's some really nasty stuff in there too. Beware, guys, when you're watching it. But yeah, Jackass is cool. There's nothing really like it, so we all grew up on it. It's good.
That's the thing. There's not a lot of rewatchability. Like once you've seen the pranks, once you've seen the crazy stunts, it's kind of like, all right.
Yeah. You see it once, you kind of don't want to watch it. And some of them are nasty. It's like, I don't want to see that again.
Yeah, there's a lot of vomiting and there's some crazy shit in there. So if you're at all squeamish, ignore all of this. But if you like seeing stuntmen go and do some stuff you'll never see, basically, check out these films.
Yeah.
We also have the season 1 remake of The Lincoln Lawyer or spinoff. I don't really know what this is. I know that we discussed it on the show before, and I was like, Matthew McConaughey's not in this, I don't care. Honestly, I really don't. And he's not in it from what I've seen. If he makes a cameo, okay, maybe I'll check it out on YouTube, just that one scene. But otherwise, the film was so good, and I know from what I understand, they're based on books. But that first movie with Matthew McConaughey was amazing, and I don't really see a need for this first season.
I thought he was in this show.
No, it stars someone else who plays another lawyer, not the same character, but a different character. And that's why we were like, maybe it's a spinoff of the movie. We don't really know what this is. I think it's just banking on the fact that it's called Lincoln Lawyer. I wish it were Matthew McConaughey. I'd be on board for sure.
Well, regardless, I haven't seen any of them, so.
Oh, you got to see Lincoln Lawyer, man. It's good. That's like the first film that I saw and it was with Kelly, where it's like Matthew McConaughey's a serious fucking actor, because he was on those rom-coms and everything before that. he was in Sahara, and he was like, all right, he's just kind of a whatever. But then you see Lincoln Lawyer, and it's like, this guy could act the entire time. He was fooling everyone. And then he won an Oscar a couple years later, starred in True Detective. He stars in my favorite Chris Nolan film with Interstellar. So incredible fucking film. You got to check that out if you haven't.
Yeah, it's on my list. Actually, I might even have it. I just haven't watched it yet.
Well, that's good. At least you own it, because you'll want to buy it after you watch it.
And he is not in this, I can confirm. But Neve Campbell is in it.
Oh shit.
Interesting turn of events.
Well, I guess that makes sense, because she's a part of the Netflix family. She was in House of Cards. She played a pretty major role in that. They probably have her tied into a couple shows.
Yeah, she's in there. I don't see any other big names in here. So yeah, she's the only one I recognize.
Another one as a Netflix exclusive, season 2, is Ghost in the Shell SAC 2045. I know Millennial Mike probably could tell me a lot more about it. Not Scott, because I know he's not a Netflix guy, but this just made me want to go back and watch the first movie. I used to see it on Blockbuster, Hollywood Video, and the cover itself was kind of raunchy, so I'm like, oh, I can't rent that one. But I know it's a classic. I know a lot of people really like Ghost in the Shell, and they consider that one of the more important animes in the history of the medium. And there's even been remasters of the fucking film. So I definitely want to check it out. And obviously it's got a fan base big enough to where it has its own spin-off show. Another one here is Pokemon Masters Journeys, and this is the series season 3. I know you don't really keep up with the show, but this is where a lot of kids, they know Pokemon from Netflix at this point. That's how long it's been on the service.
Yeah, there's been a lot of content on Netflix from Pokemon. So new and old people have been watching it, kids or adults. I don't pay attention to it, but I know it's there, and I know a lot of people watch it.
They seem to also have some kind of contract with Netflix to have them on there. Do you think that the Pokemon company could get away with having their own spin-off streaming service for a couple dollars should they ever end their deal with Netflix?
No, they'll just keep it on Netflix or whoever is the highest bidder, and the rest they just do on. Yeah, they put this stuff on Netflix and you have to pay for it, but they also put constant streaming shows on their Twitch channel, and it's completely free. So I don't think they're really worried about that. It's only the new shows that they'll worry about putting out, and they've been putting those out on Netflix.
The one I was pissed about was Pokemon Origins. They came out 5 years ago at this point, 4 years ago, and I was trying to rewatch them. I'm like, let me go back and watch those older episodes where they remake the games as anime. And this is, I know now they have several spin-offs that recreate these moments, but this was like one of the first ones. It was for their 15th anniversary, I believe. And I pull them up on YouTube, and now they're charging $2 an episode. I'm like, what the fuck? These used to be free. And now I had to watch them on Daily Motion. Can you believe that shit? Fucking Daily Motion, man. It's still around. I can confirm that. Someone's shitty upload of it. Also, Stranger Things Season 4 Part 1. It is from what I read, the most expensive show to produce as of today. It's gone up as a fucking money hole just for every single episode. It's more expensive to produce than Game of Thrones, which is kind of insane.
Yeah, all their actors have gone on to do bigger projects, so I'm pretty sure they renegotiate a lot of those contracts. This one's been plagued with delays for the past 2 years between COVID and people getting COVID and film production COVID, and Netflix probably saying, wait, who knows, and other film schedules between all these actors. So it'll be good for Netflix when it releases because that's one of their anchors.
Have you kept up with any of the seasons?
Yeah, I'm all caught up. Might have to rewatch some of it because it's been so long.
Has it maintained its quality?
Yeah, it's been fine. It didn't get super wonky or anything.
All right, well, good news then for Stranger Things fans, and for the comic. I'm sure they're going to be releasing some more miniseries that tie into telling you some of the backstories on everything. I remember the D&D set that they came out with a couple years ago. That one being pretty popular. The Morty and Rick one that they came out with, that one was pretty big. So I don't know how much D&D's popularity, at least the spike over the last.
Oh, it did.
Is it because of the show?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, okay.
Especially with the younger kids.
Because I was like, it's either the parents now teaching their kids about it or they're seeing it somewhere. I know a lot of it too is Twitch streamers, and
Yep.
That one company, Rooster Teeth, or one of them out there did a lot of live action role playing D&D. They streamed it, and I know that also helped get more popularity for the game. And Stranger Things is one of them.
There's I can't remember the name of the group, but there's a group mostly of celebrities, and they do it every single week on
Critical
Twitch.
Role.
Critical Role, yeah. Deathstroke's on there. He's constantly on there.
Oh shit! No way, Joe Manganiello.
Yeah, he's on there all the time. He's a huge Magic nerd and D&D nerd. He loves Magic and D&D.
Yeah, I knew he played those games along. Vin Diesel plays them too, and I just didn't know that he was a part of Critical Role. Like, I know Critical Role is fucking massive. They have comic books out there that publish for the big companies like Dark Horse, DC Comics. But man, that's awesome for them. That's good.
Yeah, he's on Critical Role all the time. You can usually pop in there, and he's one of the characters.
Badass. I'm gonna have to check some of those out. But there you go. That is our highlights for this week's What's New on Netflix. This month's What's New on Netflix. Next week, we are going to have the HBO Max highlights. But now we head into actually, did you want to talk about anything Netflix? We kind of teased it a little bit as far as the bit of trouble they were in. I did talk about it last week, the subscriptions, but was there anything you wanted to put in there as far as your take?
No, the end was coming. We knew it, and it's all falling apart. It's falling apart at the seams, and they're not going to want to blame the Russia thing. We're not going to get political here, but they're not going to want to blame that. And yeah, a big chunk came out of that, but they're trying to mask it. Like, people aren't paying for their service because they're charging too much. That's my take. They're just charging too much. They just raised their rates a second time, or I think third time this year. Mm-hmm. It's so stupid. Yeah, they're pumping out content, but like, not all of it's quality. And if they're not going to cater to everybody, then people are just going to start falling off. And now they attacked the password thing, and then now they're trying to back off the password thing because they see they're losing money. And it's like, they know it's a problem. They don't have a fix. They have a mess on their hands. Are they going to fix it? I don't know. If they don't fix it, they're going to lose more money. That's what we know. So I think their demise is upon us now. The fact that they're actually sharing, well, they have to shareholders, but we're actually getting metrics from them is crazy, because they never share anything unless it's positive.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That's something we've discussed at length in the past.
Which is all of them. All the services are guilty of that. But Netflix, for number one, being the king, like, they don't share anything negative unless they cancel a season. But I think this is interesting, and I think it gets a lot of attention because we don't get access to those numbers and those metrics. So as this unfolds, we're going to learn more, and we're probably going to see this happen to some others too.
Well, I hope Netflix doesn't go under before Rebel Moon gets completed. I know they're filming it now, so we're okay. But
I don't see them going under. I just see them breaking down, and like, there's going to be some big changes. Like, there's going to be a service with ads, and people are going to be up in arms about it. It's going to happen. But
yeah,
the good thing is it'll be cheaper.
Yep.
It'll be cheaper though. So, but everybody will complain like they do, just like they do with Hulu. Whatever. Who cares?
Pay for it or don't. Easy as that.
That's right. Move on to the next service.
But let's head on over into the Brokept block, which is the more personal side of the podcast, what Bobby and I have been doing since you last heard us. So, Bobby, what's been going on since episode 500, I think it was?
Been busy with work. Magic released just recently. But more importantly, I literally just got home about an hour and a half ago. I was in Germany for 2 weeks.
Oh, no shit. No wonder you're... I see you on Discord like at odd hours of the day. I'm like, Bobby is up 5 hours early today. What's he doing posting on Discord at the same time that I'm getting up for the gym? What the fuck is going on?
So Pokemon Company sent me to Germany. So I was in Germany for 2 weeks, and I got to staff their European International Championships.
God damn, man. Talk about it, please.
In Frankfurt. I went there to mainly spend time with family. My wife came with me, and we got to see our daughter and her husband and their 2 kids. Hung out with them for about a week and a half. And then I broke off and went to work the Pokemon event, which is why I was sent there. So that paid for my trip and pretty much everything that was there. So it's pretty cool. So thanks, Pokemon. It was good. Got to spend time with family, relax, get away from work. And the event was a huge success. I think we had over 1,500 players total. So all protocols were followed because that's what Pokemon does. So it was a completely contained environment. Everybody had to be vaccinated to enter, staff and players and spectators. You also had to provide within the 7 months to be vaxxed or double vaxxed, and then also masking. So with all that in place, no issues, and it ran smooth, and it was a lot of fun. Got to see a lot of people I hadn't seen in over 2 years because of the COVID circus. Also got to travel out of the country for the first time, so it was another unique experience. But the event was solid. I got to travel a little bit in Germany. Things are much different over there. It's insane. Went to France for one day for a little bit, visited a nice cathedral. While I was at the Pokemon event, my wife went to, with her daughter, they went to Barcelona. We got to go see the Sagrada. So that was really, really cool. Unfortunately, I didn't get to do that because I was at the Pokemon event. Overall, great trip. Just got back today and back in Florida.
How'd you keep this on the wraps, man? You didn't even share pictures of your trip, of all the Pokemon shit that was going on?
Because of the time difference, everything was off. It would have been weird. So I was just going to wait till I get back and do dumps and
Nice.
info and photo dumps. It just lined up that I was able to do this today and share it. So it was a surprise to you and everybody.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing all the different people you saw or staff stuff that you got and all that shit. That's amazing. What a great trip, man. Sponsored by Pokemon this episode.
Yeah, right. Came back with a lot of swag too, so it worked out. They're good, man. You work those events and they hook you up. My flight was paid for, my room was paid for, meals are paid for, stipend on top of that, and then all the swag. So it's really cool.
Any major issues with the translations or anything?
No, surprisingly in Germany they speak, a lot of them speak English.
Okay.
So it wasn't an issue. And even when I can tell that they may not have spoke English, I just did away with the easy words, like, you know, they say hello to everybody. They're really kind over there, by the way. You know, just say thank you, which is danke schön. So, and it's very simple, and just, you know, give them euros and you pay. Interesting fact: when you want to go take a leak, you gotta pay 50 cents.
Ooh.
So
everywhere you go?
Yeah, like if you want to go to the bathroom somewhere, you gotta pay. You gotta pay to use the restroom. So what I want to do is I want to start a movement. Jared, if you're listening, let's start a movement so we can charge people to use the restrooms here, so we can stop having restrooms in retail establishments. I think this will end restrooms in retail establishments when you start charging them to use the restroom.
It'll also bring a spike of people urinating on the walls.
Well, apparently over there, it's okay to go piss in the bushes.
Oh, no shit.
It's like, it's okay to do it. Actually, I saw people do it. So I saw people pull off the side of the road and go pee in a field, or just pee on a tree.
The reason I bring that up, because I know that's a problem in India, where I follow this guy's YouTube channel who lives over there, and they do charge for toilet paper and things like that and there's usually someone working the little bathrooms. And because of that, people will urinate and defecate outside. And so they had this big issue with that, with keeping their streets clean, to where they started putting images of some of their gods in areas where there was a lot of that, to prevent that from
piss on
happening. Exactly. So that's why I'm like, oh man, I don't know if here in the US, if they tried that, there'd be a lot of public urination, which I guess Germany's okay with. So, I mean, where else are they going to go? You have to go. So you're going to go somewhere.
Another difference how things are done is they don't use plastic bags. So if you go to the store and buy something, like, there's no bag unless you bring your own bag. And then some places will give you like a paper bag, depending on what it is. McDonald's has a double Big Mac. Have you ever seen that?
No.
It's a double Big Mac. It's 4 patties in that freaking thing. Insane. It's like €6.
Did you have any weird condiments at McDonald's?
They don't do, their common side is not ketchup. It's mayonnaise.
Yeah.
And then they have the regular fries that we have here, but the popular with all the meals is waffle fries.
Oh,
so
nice.
Kind of like Chick-fil-A style. They do waffle fries.
Love waffle fries.
There's a couple different menu items too, but the main thing I noticed is the freaking double Big Mac. I don't even know how you would eat that. But
did you try
it? No, I did not.
Ah.
I should have, but that's a lot of food. a lot of McDonald's patties. When I get McDonald's, I try to get like chicken. I don't like their meat too much.
Yeah, I don't blame you. But I was going to say, don't get too intimidated if you do go back and try it, because, you know, it always looks way bigger in the picture than you get it, and it's like a regular little burger. It's probably the size of a Five Guys burger. Probably
what it is in the end. Didn't really get to do too much sightseeing. Kind of just like relaxed and made a couple trips, you know, with the family. Did a couple little things, nothing big, but overall it's really cool. It's cold over there. Yesterday it was hailing, actually. Most nights it was like 30 to 40 degrees, and then during the day usually it was 50s.
Yeah, fuck that.
lucky it might get to the 60s, but it wasn't bad. Like it's low humidity, so it's fine. I brought a little tiny jacket, and I think I wore it once. Shorts and short sleeve shirt.
You got to call everyone weather babies over in Germany.
Yeah, it felt so good, and then come back here and it's 80. So.
Oh yeah. I just imagine you all fucking Germany. Look at these fucking weather babies.
Oh yeah, they were all weather babies. But I mean, to be fair, it gets super cold there. So.
Like true cold, exactly.
Like there's no air conditioning in anywhere. Like everything has heaters, so you have to leave the windows open to keep the cold air in because there's no AC there. The hotel room that I had was a freaking sauna, and everybody that was there traveling complained. And it's like they don't realize, like, which I didn't realize either until it finally sunk in. They don't have ACs. It's cold most of the years, and then when it gets hot, it gets really freaking hot. You just need to keep the windows open, and then like they have shutters that go over the outside of the windows, and it's used to block the heat, but allow the air to come in. That way you can keep the windows open at night with the shutters. So really cool invention that they have over there.
Did you get to visit any gaming or comic shops while you were out there?
Yeah, I did. I went to a comic book shop. Oh my God. So overpriced. Not even funny. I saw some of the stuff that I own there, and it's like double the price. So it's like, whatever the hell. I feel bad for those people over there paying double the price over there. I went to a GameStop, pretty much the same. Was there anything really different? No, nothing really different in there. The bad thing is like all the games are in German. So, I mean, they'll play on our consoles, but it's not worth it. So I didn't see anything good. I was looking for some old retro stuff just because, over there, maybe I'll find it. But the only thing I found was Diamond and Pearl, the originals on, was it 3DS or 2DS? I don't know what system it was
Diamond
on.
and Pearl was the DS.
DS. I found those, but those are DS titles are easily faked, so I didn't want to mess with them.
I want him to have still tried to get you to pre-order something real hardcore. Like, look, I'm from out of the country. Well, that's okay. You can come back and pick up your $5 next year or roll it over to another pre-order.
Yeah. Their grocery stores are like, how like here we have grocery stores like all over the place. So there's like, there's an Aldi, there's a Publix, there's a Walmart, there's a Target, like there's all sorts of options. There's not that many options. And when you get to one, it's a giant, like you have a Walmart near you, right? Near that hospital.
Mm-hmm.
So think of that Walmart, which I'm sure you've been in at least once. Think of that, and it's like 4 times the size of that. And that's their grocery stores.
Jesus.
And it's like, it's just got everything in there. You go from one side for grocery, and then you finish all the grocery aisles, and you go to the dry goods, and then you go to the Walmart type stuff where they carry all that stuff too. Toy section, camping section. Like, it's giant. And you go up front, and there's all these lanes to check out, and they're so busy. And then there's like a couple of restaurants up in the front. Went to a big one. We visited one in France, and that one, it even had a little game store in the front of it. It's mimicked a GameStop, but it wasn't called GameStop. It was called Macro Media, I think is what it was called.
So you just got back then. That's amazing. That's really cool.
Oh yeah, I literally just got back an hour and a half ago. That's
insane. Well, again, one of the co-hosts shares as far as the Brocat blockage is way better than mine. I've got I'm like, I saw a movie. You just came from fucking Germany judging an event. That's incredible. A Pokemon event. Good on you, man.
It was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Looking up to, I got a busy month. I got a couple more tournaments to run. I'm doing Indianapolis next week, and then 2 weeks after that, New Jersey, Secaucus. As we get into June, May, June. June is Milwaukee, middle of June, and then a week after that is North American International Championship. So I'll be applying to that one. I should get into that one. So that'll be another paid trip.
Perfect. That's great. Lots of keeping busy, man.
World's in London in August. Hopefully we get that one too.
You should swing by Tree Frog Grading and whatever we have out there, pick it up.
Oh, 100%. If I go over there, I'm going to try to see if they're anywhere in the vicinity and meet up with them.
It's a good idea. Yeah, they seem like solid guys, and people go and visit them from what I've seen on Instagram. On my end, I saw like I said, I saw a fucking movie. I saw The Northman, which takes place over in that European area, so it's kind of like what you did. It was good, man. It was an awesome film. It did not do well in the box office. Again, another artisan film that isn't supported in the box office. It's unfortunate, and it's a statement on the state of movies. It's what Scorsese was warning us about a couple years ago, and people were like, yeah, it's just the crazy old man that's jealous of superhero movies. And no, it's happening now. Of what he said, people are no longer going to watch those smaller independent movies. They're just going to go and watch superhero and tentpole films. And it's unfortunate, but I loved the movie. Northman is incredible. Willem Dafoe is in there. He's got a small part in it. It is a very well-produced movie. And if you have a theater near you and you need a recommendation, please go see The Northman. It definitely needs your support. When it comes out on Vudu or on a streaming service, check it out then too. I definitely will be. I will be looking at. People are calling it the Hamlet of Vikings, but this Viking story is actually what inspired Hamlet. It's what inspired Shakespeare to write Hamlet. Even the character's name is Hamlet, and Shakespeare just moved the H to the beginning of the name, just called it Hamlet. So this is the original version of that shit. It's good stuff. And I also saw The Foreigner, which stars Jackie Chan, same director as Casino Royale. It's on Netflix right now. He's got a movie called The Memory starring Liam Neeson in theaters as we record this. So I wanted to check out The Foreigner, and then now I'm going to go check out Memory because I love Liam Neeson. I love the director. I like Casino Royale. Those are the couple of things I've been watching, though.
I watched some stuff, too. I finished Cobra Kai because, it's a 9-hour flight. So
final
time to burn.
It was its final season, right?
No. I was still on season 3, so I finished 3 and then watched all of 4, and then I watched a bunch of crime/drug lord documentaries that I downloaded from Netflix on my phone as well.
Did you watch the Tinder Swindler?
No, it's on my list. I'll probably watch that next week. I think that one the wife wanted to watch with me, so we'll watch that one together. Pretty
amazing. Yeah, just how people are like, I can't believe these women fell for this, but he was a manipulative guy. I'm looking forward to you seeing it. It was I think it was Netflix Italy, the number 1 stream thing there, and then Zack Snyder's Justice League was number 2.
Yeah, I saved it. We're definitely going to watch it. I recommend, because we watched Bad Vegan. Watch that with Kelly.
Yes, I watched it.
Watch it. Okay, that was crazy.
I love that she did the interview, she did all of that, and how it's still ongoing. She did say, well, on Instagram, she did have she's like, the documentary is great, but she has a problem with the ending because she's like, they made it out to where it seems like I'm back with him or working with him. And she's like, they manipulated that phone call like crazy to where it ends on this weird note of like, oh no, here we go again. And she's like, in real life though, no, that's not at all what's happening.
Well, of course she's going to say that. We don't know that. Like, I think she did fall for that. She just doesn't want to admit it because she's part of the problem. I don't know.
She's a huge part of that. Yes, I agree. Absolutely. She
fell for it. Like, you can't pity her too much because she legitimately robbed that entire company of all that money because this dude freaking brainwashed her.
Like crazy, too.
And then she kept going. She didn't back out. She could have got help from somebody. She didn't.
Yeah, if you like that, Bad Vegan, you'll like Tinder Swindler. It's very similar. The manipulative tactics that they used. Yeah. I kept wondering, like, where's he? Obviously, he's using all this money on these flights and doing all this crazy shit, buying watches. But then the fact that, like, the gambling was a huge part of that.
Yeah, he was just gambling like crazy.
Fucking addict, right? On gambling, for sure. But anything else on your list?
Her dog's immortal, though.
yeah, that promise of the... Man, I felt bad for her, though, for sure, at some point, some parts.
Yes, some parts of it, yes. But there's a point where it's like, somebody should have helped her, or she should have tried to ask for help. I don't know. So weird. I need to finish Narcos Mexico. I'm almost done with that, and then I'll finish all the Narcos.
One thing I'm doing a deep dive on now is Chris Chan. And you and I talked about this on Discord, along with some of the other brocats, but it all got sparked by a tweet from Nintendo where Shigeru Miyamoto it's not in our news because I didn't think it was that big of a deal, but they delayed the Mario movie and pushed it back. So it's like, whatever, it's fine. It happens. It's not like it was right around the corner and they just pushed it or something like that. But on his tweet, Miyamoto's tweet, he said that he has spoken to his partner, Chris San, and people were like, oh, I for a minute thought that was Chris Chan and I would have lost my mind. And I'm like, who the hell is Chris Chan? And that's when I saw this cringy video of this guy putting out a video on YouTube to Shigeru Miyamoto about putting his original character, Sonic Chew, who is a cross between Sonic the Hedgehog and Pikachu, into Animal Crossing, legitimately thinking that he can get his original character in there. And I'm like, oh my God, that's so cringy. I need more of this. And someone on Twitter, Haruko Hitomi, who's been on the show before, they told me, yeah, it's this whole thing of people messed with this guy and trolled him. And he's a high functioning autistic. At that time, he was a grown adult, but they knew him from when he was a teen as well. And I went down this rabbit hole, man. He's got his whole Wikipedia on sonicchew.com, not made by him, but by his trolls, I guess, or people that followed his entire thing. And it's just years of his documented behavior online, on YouTube, the crazy shit he did, like macing a GameStop employee. And I spent hours going through this shit. Like, it was that slow at my previous job where everything was done. And it's one of those jobs where they're like, yeah, it's fine if you listen to music or go on your phone. And it was 8 hours of, I'm just going through this Wikipedia page and going through it all. And now I discovered that there's this documentary on YouTube. It's called Chris Chan, A Comprehensive History. And I'm like, all right, well, what is it? Like an hour long documentary? Episode 1 is 50 minutes. It's 62 fucking episodes, 62 parts, and each one's 40 to an hour long. And I'm like, oh my God, it's a video version of the entire Wikipedia, basically. And I'm on part 2 right now. Like, I'm watching this shit. I know I say on here, I don't have time for video games. I don't have time for a lot of things. But as I'm going to sleep, I'm watching this fucking documentary, man. It's not yet to the point where it's funny, cringy. It's still at the depressing parts of like, oh man, they messed with, he's had this bad upbringing. They messed with him. As a child, he had all these difficulties with school and making friends. And I'm like, oh, when's it get funny?
You're gonna cringe yourself to sleep every night.
Every fucking night. I live for the cringe, man. If you like cringe, please look up Chris Chan, because, oh my God, I used to, when I worked at the comic shop, that shit I still enjoyed sometimes. Sometimes the cringe was annoying, but in my case now, I'm like, oh, I can watch this shit, and it just continues. So if you have fucking time to kill, or you want some documentary shit on YouTube, look up Chris Chan, because it's a whole mess of things, and I haven't even gotten to the reasons why he's in fucking prison now. It's a little fucking too much, and to the point where I'm like, yeah, I'm not even going to mention that shit here.
Jeez.
But that's what's been going on with my week. I think I'd mentioned last week that it was my final week at my current job and transitioning into something else that maybe as next week, I'll have some more news on that. But otherwise, as I said before, it's an interesting year, not just in media, but also in all of our lives with all the crazy changes going on. And my life is no exception to all of that.
Yeah, that's all of us. We all have those moments. We all need to take care of things. So understandable. And yeah, a lot of people are doing the same thing or similar.
But there you have it, Brocat Core. This Bobby just flew in and made time, jet lag and all, I'm sure, to record and have an episode for you. So Bobby, thank you so much for being on this week, and please let them know where they can find you.
You can find me on Discord. That's probably the best place to reach out. So if you're not a member on our Discord, the links are here. Check them out. Join. If you don't want to mess with it because you got too many Discords that you're in, just mute the channels. You can pop in when you want and ask questions, and we'll interact with you. Very simple. We just want to grow a community. We like to share, the TV, the movies, the video games, and more, and all the stuff that we talk about. We share our collections on there. We talk about the current events as it happens, and obviously some of it comes up in the show. So be a part of the community. It's free. It's a growing community, and the more people we meet, the more fun we have. And of course, I'm on Twitter. I don't use it a lot, but I'm there. QBANSLIM is my handle. I'll be posting some Pokemon stuff there because I got a lot of events coming up, and I just finished a really big one in Europe. So I'll share some of that stuff.
There will be links to everywhere you can find Bobby on the description of today's episode, including the Discord. If you want to be heard on the show, you can always leave us a voicemail. There's a link also in the description, but it is speakpipe.com/thereasonsimBroke. 90 seconds or less if you want to leave us a comment or a question. We may play it right here on the show. So that's once again, speakpipe.com/thereasonsimBroke. But thank you so much again, Bobby, for being on and for taking the time to do this episode. I know it kind of landed, now I know, on kind of a weird week for you, but I do appreciate it.
Oh, of course. No problem. I do need to slide this in real quick. Guys, don't forget, Reasons I'm Broke is partnered with Tree Frog Grading. If you want to get some cards graded, check out their site. When you're checking out, use that code BROKE. You get 5% off your order. We sent some cards out recently, so hopefully we'll be getting those back soon. And Daniel and I will be showing off what we got back and those nice, sexy labels that they have. And it'll look pretty cool. So we'll have something to show off shortly. So in the meantime, check out the website. It's a really cool, slick site. They're great cards. You get stuff back quicker and a lot less cheaper than some of these other companies that are doing it now. So check it out. Get a discount in the meantime.
Think we'll get any 10s coming back? Any Alpha 10s, Alpha Bravos?
Maybe on the 2 of those cards I sent, those staff cards, those might be 10s, but I don't know. I don't know how they grade, so we'll see.
I sent in a sealed Zapdos Moltres Articuno from that ETB, I think it was.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that one maybe.
Yeah, it's possible. As long as it was printed correctly and it's centered.
That's the problem.
That's the thing that a lot of people don't take into account is the centering. And even if it's off slightly, which to the human eye, you really can't detect it. And hell, I literally grade cards every day at work. Like, not grade, but I have to grade to buy. And even sometimes I can't tell when they're off center because you just look at them so much. Some are more obvious than others, obviously.
Mm-hmm. So. Well, there you have it. Thank you again, Bobby, for that Tree Frog grading plug. And to you on the other side, thank you so much for tuning in again this week. If this is your very first episode, hopefully you found something in it that you enjoyed to come back next week for episode 507. Thank you again for joining us this week. I've been Daniel, joined by Bobby and Brokehead Core. All will be well. So, Bobby, I do have to ask you, since you are the bigger Spider-Man fan here, if you had the choice of, I know they're making choices based on celebrities and they're making business decisions, but which Spider-Man spin-off character would you greenlight over at Sony?
That's a good one. There's a lot of different good ones. See, the thing is, like, do we focus on a villain because that's what they've been doing, or, do they go with the hero side?
Well, how about one of each?
Yeah. I had one, and I mentioned it to Mike when we were talking about ASM, the movie, and now I forgot who it was. I'm also really tired. But White Tiger would be interesting, but that's kind of a throwaway character.
The male or female version?
It doesn't matter. Just throw him in there. Get something going with it. So I forgot his name. It's Miles' uncle.
Uncle Aaron.
Uncle Aaron. He plays Prowler. So Prowler is really cool, especially the dynamic with, which we saw in Spider-Verse, obviously. That uncle nephew relationship and how they find out about each other, and them fighting each other, and like that mentorship, which it actually turns into, like, that's a really cool dynamic. Unfortunately, we're probably not going to see that again. We saw what we saw in Spider-Verse. That's really cool. If we would do a live action version of that at some point, I think that dynamic would be really cool, unless they don't include Miles and they twist it into 616? If they tie it into 616 and they don't include Miles, they just change the story. Just Prowler, the character, is pretty cool because he's just a dude. Like, he doesn't have superpowers. He's like just out there doing the Batman thing, Another one would be on the hero side. Black Cat would be interesting, but not just her on her own, but like more involved with Peter and that dynamic. But I don't know how they would make that work. Like, that's rough. That's really tough because she that's why they're making her movie with other characters, because she just can't stand on her own. Like
Silver Sable, yeah.
Like you saw what they tried that with Catwoman, and that just didn't work either. It's like there's not enough there. So if they partner up with Silver Sable and like maybe one other, make like a little syndicate, that'll work. But I don't want it to be just her and just one other, Silver Sable. Let's just, because that's the movie that they scripted. But you got to have Spider-Man in there. I'm sorry, you can't just be those two. We'll see. Mine
are the superior Spider-Man, Doc Ock, like that evil sort of Spider-Man. Not evil. It was more like a rough around the edges, almost Punisher-like Spider-Man, someone who killed villains. Fascinating story by Dan Slott, and probably the last thing I'll read by Dan Slott, but That I really enjoyed. And also Spider-Gwen, I think, is ripe for let's make that fucking movie now. And I know that you had mentioned they don't want to step on toes. That's probably the reason why they haven't yet, is they want to get their Spider-Verse films done, the animated ones. I do still think that the audience is savvy enough to, it'll be fine if there's a live action Miles and a live action Gwen while they have the animated ones, but that's just me. You know, the studios are kind of weird, but a Spider-Gwen with, a lot of people are saying it, bring back, even though she's kind of expensive right now, but bring her back from the Amazing Spider-Man. She just did Cruella, so she's crazy expensive right now. What's her name? The actor?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, Cruella. I don't know why I'm forgetting her name. So easy. Emma Stone.
Emma Stone. We have to fucking look that up. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
But get Emma Stone, bring her back, and drop some fucking money. Drop some Jared Leto money on her. Watch the fucking money go in.
Yeah, that'd be nice, but I don't think they'd step on the Spider-Verse toes. They can let that play out. Plus, if they're going to bring her in, like, and do all that, they got to set that up. That's going to take that's a lot of setting up. But they have money and they have time, so they could do that.